And Crawford said he don't give no fuck. That's a fact. Say, they should have been using him. I don't know. I don't care. I say I don't care. Like I say, boy, everybody got a price, man, and I guess Boots, he had his price. I don't know what he getting, but he sold out. That's all I can say. He sold out. Now I don't. Hey, I'm just gonna state the fact. He sold out. That's it. He sold out. That's it. You know what I mean? And like I say, I don't knock Canelo, but come on, you could say graciously, nah, I'm out of training, or I'm doing this, or you ain't got to tell him hell no. Nah. Just tell him in a gracious way. Tell him in a gracious way. Appreciate the offer, but I ain't no sparring partner. Anything. But nah, here he go. Smiling, giggling, taking pictures. All right. So listen, we gonna whoop two ass that night. Canelo's and his. Okay? Canelo's and his. All right. He ain't fought Crawford yet. We gonna prove him wrong again. That's it. That's it. When you know Crawford gonna get in there, I guarantee this. He gonna put up a better fight than the rest of them. We gonna win. That's a guarantee. He ain't gonna be no running mother. I guarantee that. Crawford going in there to win. That's a fact. He ain't gonna pull a Charlo that was shocked and when he got hit and man, I'm just saying what happened. You seen what happened. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, he showed he had a lack of tools.
A lack of guts, a lack of ferocity, and like you said, a lack of tools. One-dimensional. That's why Tony Harrison boxed him to death.
You guys heard it. According to Terence Bud Crawford teammate, Bernie the Boxer, he stated that Crawford's reaction to Canelo sparring Jaron Ennis to prepare for him was he don't give a F. However, clearly Crawford teammate Bernie did, as he called Jaron Ennis a traitor. He said that he sold out. He's not on code. Since when Jaron Ennis was a sparring partner? I didn't know he was a sparring partner. I thought he was a world champ. That's what Bernie had to say. I believe part of that came from the respectful relationship that Crawford has with Bozy Ennis. Bozy Ennis is on record stating that he believes Crawford is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He also said that he believes Crawford is gonna knock out Canelo Alvarez to the body. Both families respect each other despite the competition, so I think that really took Crawford's team by surprise to see Jaron Ennis being Canelo Alvarez's main sparring partner for their fight. Well, clearly Jaron Ennis valued the animosity with Crawford over the culture. That's why he chose to become Canelo Alvarez's main sparring partner for the Terence Bud Crawford fight. As far as Jaron Ennis being a sellout, that's the talk of the town, believe it or not. I mean, when you think about it objectively, Crawford himself is actually sparring Mexican fighters to prepare for the Canelo fight. Crawford himself has a Mexican trainer. One of his 3 trainers is Mexican. Canelo Alvarez himself has been sparring other black fighters other than Jaron Ennis for the longest. So what's the problem? Well, here are the key differences. Crawford's Hispanic trainer has been with him from day one. If Canelo had a trainer from day one that happened to be black, no one would have cared or said anything. On top of that, Canelo Alvarez's other sparring partners like the Ellis family, they've been Canelo Alvarez sparring partners for years. They have a long history relationship with each other. So that's a difference. Even when Crawford was sparring the undefeated Mexican contender at 168, Martinez, for the Canelo Alvarez fight, Martinez doesn't have a name. He's a nobody. He's just trying to get work and get experience. In fact, sparring Crawford was his biggest exposure. That put him on the map. Turkey even has him fighting on Crawford versus Canelo undercard. And that's the difference between Martinez and Jaron Ennis sparring Canelo. Jaron Ennis is a world champion. He already got exposure. He's not a sparring partner. If anything, Jaron Ennis want to fight Crawford. So by default, you will think he want to fight Canelo as well. In fact, The Canelo fight for Jaron Ennis is more makeable at the moment in time than Crawford due to the fact Crawford is 38 years old. This is possibly Crawford's last fight. So if Jaron Ennis is trying to fight Crawford like Eddie said, he should have had fought Virgil next instead of a tune-up and being too busy being Canelo Alvarez's sparring partner. Put yourself in position. Canelo, on the other hand, he's 34, about to be 35. So Jaron Ennis has a better chance of fighting Canelo in the future than Crawford, due to the fact Canelo may have 2 to 3 years left of his pro career. Crawford, on the other hand, this may be his last fight or his last year. If anything, he has one more fight in him because he's about to be 40 years old. Therefore, it doesn't make sense for Jaron Ennis to ruin his chances of fighting Canelo by sparring him instead. If Jaron Ennis was touching up Canelo Alvarez like that, then he can forget about a Canelo Alvarez fight, which that's the fight he should have had been focused on for real. You see, that's the main differences between Jaron Ennis and Martinez. Martinez doesn't have a name. Jaron Ennis has one of the biggest names in boxing. I mean, no matter how much Ryan envies or hates Canelo, whatever relationship they have at the moment in time, he will never join Crawford camp to prepare him to fight Canelo Alvarez. Hell no. That's because he has a name, and that will be viewed as betrayal, since the Mexican people stick together, which that's what a lot of people are pointing out. Just like it's Vivo Mexico, it should be Let's Go America. And like I said before, with the Ellis family that's sparring Canelo Alvarez, the difference between them and Jaron Ennis is that the Ellis family, they know Canelo. They actually have a relationship. They have been sparring for years. Meanwhile, Jaron Ennis, he never met Canelo. He don't know Canelo. They never talked before. Which is why when Jaron Ennis got the call from Eddie Hearn to set up the Canelo Alvarez sparring match, Bernie the Boxer said Jaron Ennis should have had told Eddie, I'm not a sparring partner. I'm a world champ. Or I'm not available. I'm on a vacation. Turn it down politely. That's why Bernie the Boxer is calling Jaron Ennis a sellout. Is he a sellout? I don't think Jaron Ennis was looking at it like that. I think Jaron Ennis was looking at it to take shots at Crawford by helping Canelo beat him because he don't like Crawford. Boots chose animosity over the culture, and that's why Crawford teammate Bernie the Boxer stated if Jaron Ennis felt like that, then why did Boots take himself out of the WBO rankings at welterweight when Crawford was the WBO champ to go to the IBF route? If he really wanted to fight Crawford, if he envied Crawford like that, he should have had fought him then. But he chose another direction. And that's what Bernie the Boxer was pointing out. Furthermore, a lot of people have been asking me, how significant is it for Canelo to be sparring Jaron Ennis for the Crawford fight? Is it really going to make a big difference? My answer to that, when Canelo fights Crawford on September 13th, the fight is going to feel like a rematch to Canelo compared to if he didn't spar Jaron Ennis to prepare for the Crawford fight. That's how significant it is for Canelo to spar Boots, the closest, slickest fighter to Crawford's style. Which means Crawford is going to have to be so good on fight night to beat Canelo. He's going to have to be able to adapt so quick to the point where he have to beat Canelo Alvarez as if he's fighting him in a rematch without knowing how the first fight went while Canelo does. Because Canelo, he has a brilliant game plan. He has been working with Boots on certain things all camp and perfecting fighting a slick fighter like Crawford. This wouldn't have been a problem if they were in a similar weight class or close to each other in weight classes. But since Crawford is moving up to his 6th weight class, pretty much 3 weight classes one time, because Bud didn't have time to adapt to 154, he only had one fight there. And because of that, Crawford is facing a lot of obstacles. Canelo, the judges who always rob Canelo opponents, The racially biased commentary that brainwashes the public that's watching, the fans that's always going to be booing Bud and cheering even Canelo Alvarez faints. At this point, you can even add Turkey, who copied and pasted Canelo Alvarez's narrative of Tom and Jerry. On top of all of that, Canelo Alvarez was able to find someone with Crawford's unique, slick style, which is Jaron Ennis, the closest thing to Crawford's style. With Canelo Alvarez getting quality sparring against Boots Ennis, who brings that slick southpaw style, just like Crawford, to the table, and you best believe Boots is giving Canelo Alvarez all of the jewels on Crawford and whatever he knows, which is going to help Canelo Alvarez tremendously. At this point, Terence Bud Crawford is going to have to be like water in that ring. He's going to have to adapt in real time. If he's able to do that, he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez, which I truly believe he will. I'm picking Terence Crawford to win by all means necessary. What made Floyd Mayweather the Michael Jordan of boxing is his ability to adapt in real time. You see, a lot of fighters need an entire camp to adapt to a certain style. Even if they are in a close fight, they need an entire camp. They need a rematch in order to adjust to their opponent in the ring. If their opponent makes the necessary adjustments in the rematch, then they for sure gonna lose. They need a third camp. Some other fighters, it takes them half of the fight to adapt, to change the strategy, to make the necessary adjustments. Some fighters, it takes them few rounds. Some take a couple rounds. And the special fighters like Floyd Mayweather, it takes him one round. It takes him few moments to adjust and adapt, which that's the level of skill and IQ Crawford has been showing his entire career. For over 10 years in the sport of boxing, that's all he has been doing, was adapting in real time. Against Canelo Alvarez, Crawford doesn't have the luxury to take few rounds to adapt to Canelo, because he will either get robbed on the scorecards. On top of all of that, Crawford cannot afford to take clean shots by Canelo Alvarez due to the fact he's at a huge weight deficit. It only takes one or two from Canelo Alvarez clean right punches to really hurt Bud, because he's such a small guy compared to Canelo. He moving up 3 weight classes. We all know if you swim, you're going to get wet, just like if you box, you're going to get hit. However, for Crawford's case, he has to swim without getting wet pretty much. He has to fight a perfect fight, get Canelo Alvarez respect, back him up, fight laterally, use your feet, frustrate Canelo Alvarez, and adapt in real time to whatever Canelo Alvarez is doing. Crawford cannot slip up and make a huge mistake, even regular mistakes. He has to fight a perfect fight. Canelo, on the other hand, being way bigger than Crawford, he can afford to make not just regular mistakes, he can afford to make 3 times the mistakes Crawford is making. With that being said, we all know Canelo Alvarez's biggest weakness, his kryptonite, is really his footwork, which Crawford should take fully advantage of that with lateral movement. However, he also has to sit down on his punches and utilize his momentum to catch Canelo Alvarez off the movement. By doing so, he can even hurt Canelo Alvarez. You guys heard it right. Just like Bozy Ennis said, Crawford can knock out Canelo Alvarez to the body and even to the head if Canelo runs into a shot, not respecting Crawford or getting desperate. And that's the key. Will Canelo Alvarez get desperate enough and do whatever to win? If that's the case, I can even see Crawford knocking him out. Floyd Mayweather Sr. said once, the quickest way to get knocked out is look for the knockout. But I don't believe Canelo is going to do that. I think Canelo, if Crawford is beating him up, he's going to choose to survive and lose by unanimous decision, where he gets schooled like when he lost to Floyd. I don't think Canelo will risk it all in the ring just to win. The last thing Canelo would do is leave it all in the ring. I know that for sure, because if he would have had done that, he would have had done that against Bivol and Floyd Money May. If Canelo was on that type of time, he would have had to win out like Donaire against the X-Man when he was losing to them, because for sure he knew he lost to them, and he tried to pretend as if he won. Remember Canelo raising his hand at the end of the Bivol fight? And he even said after the fight that he felt he won 8 rounds to 4. You would think since Crawford is moving up pretty much 3 weight classes, Canelo will leave it all in the ring. But that's only if Canelo doesn't respect anything coming from Crawford, which that's not going to be the case. Precision, timing, and accuracy plays a big role. There's nothing Canelo bringing to the table that Crawford doesn't outdo him in every single department, except of the weight, which is a big portion, obviously. And I truly believe Canelo will not risk getting KO'd by a smaller man. I mean, losing to Crawford is already embarrassing enough, since he's not going to have any excuse, let alone getting knocked out. That will be Canelo Alvarez's most embarrassing loss by far. With that being said, let's see how everything plays out. Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below. And to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi TV. Peace out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.